everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm so happy that you're here because this is going to be a really powerful conversation. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, good, give me a subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to be having these conversations every single week. Now let's dive in. So there's a lot to cover this week, but I want to start by saying this is a topic that I said might make you feel slightly uncomfortable and mess with your head a little bit, but I think this is a really key important thing that most of us should understand. If you have ever wondered why, as I'm sure we all have, I get started with something and I think I'm going really well, and then I start to pull back. Perhaps you get momentum in something that you're doing and you suddenly start to self-sabotage. You feel ready mentally. We know there's no such thing, but you freeze when actually things start changing or start going well. And I want you to know that this is not because you're lazy or you're scared of success, and it's definitely not because you need more healing. It is because your brain is actually designed to reject the very life that you say that you want to live. Not because that is wrong, but simply because that is unfamiliar to your brain. And anything that is unfamiliar to your brain and your nervous system equals unsafe to do so. So your brain is not going to want you to move forward with that thing. And if that sentence or any of what I've just said has landed for you, then this is the video for you. So let's dive in even further. As I've covered in quite a few videos, but I want to recap that your brain has one job only. That is not your happiness, that is not your success, and it's not even your fulfillment in life. It is simply your survival. And your nervous system is going to be constantly asking you one question. Is this familiarity enough to keep me alive? That is it. So if you say you want more money, you want more visibility, you want a bigger life, you want to be seen, expressed, heard, powerful woman, your conscious mind might be excited at those things, those changes, those level ups. But your nervous system and your brain are scanning for danger. These things are new and unfamiliar, which equals scary. Stop. Whoa, we can't do these things. And your brain simply does not care if something is good for you. So if these things are going to level you up in life, make you do really well, be successful, be proud of who you are, it only cares if what you're doing is familiar to you, and it knows those bounds, and it's going to keep you safe and alive. That is it, my friend, and I really want you to hear and understand this. And I want to talk about why expansion feels so wrong within your body. Because when you step outside of your old identity, your brain is going to read this as loss of belonging, loss of control, and predictability. And historically, we know for your brain that those things mean death. You know, think back to caveman days. We weren't able to predict something that was going to happen, or we go outside of what we have known. It's scary. We're going to get killed by a tiger. We're going to get hunted down. But we don't live in those times anymore. But our brain still does. And so anything that's new and unfamiliar is going to be labeled as not for us. So your system is just going to do what it is simply designed to do, which is to pull you back. So you can probably relate to these. You procrastinate, you overthink things, you suddenly need to rest. You convince yourself that it's not the right time to do something because it doesn't feel right in your body. And this, like I said, is not because you're broken at all. And it's because your identity has not been updated to encapsulate these things and move forward. Because the real issue here is that we are trying to create a new reality from the old internal identity, and that is never going to work. And your identity, like we discussed last week, isn't just your mindset. It's not what you want, it's not what you say. Your identity is made up of what your nervous system recognizes as this is who I am and this is how I survive. All the stuff that is familiar to you. So if your identity has been shaped around the labels of being the reliable one, being the good girl, the girl who doesn't rock the boat, who doesn't become successful, you're emotionally self-contained, then any move that you're going to try and make out of that is going to feel unsafe, even if it's what you say that you want. It's not going to feel safe to your body. Therefore, these things are going to be thrown at you and you can't move forward. And this is why I say affirmations don't work long term. You know that I'm a big advocate for audios. I mean, I listened to some really good audios overnight for weeks and they completely changed my life. And now this is how I've fallen into this identity work. But when you're already doing the base work of changing your identity, that can really work. And don't get me wrong, affirmations are great to keep you in a positive mindset and mind frame of the day, but you simply can slip back from them. And this is also why our motivation can fade, and this is why healing can become such a loop for us. We can get stuck in doing the work, therefore we're attracting things in our life that need work, because that's what we're focusing on. That's where we're putting our attention. Because you are literally not meant to heal your way into a new identity. You are meant to install an entirely new identity. But I want to just pause right here and let you know that I am in the midst of writing my book, which is all about your identity and everything that we discuss on this channel. And it talks about how you can install a new identity in real life terms, and it's going to be such a powerful book. I would love it if you wanted to get a copy of that. Just leave a comment below and I'll make sure that you receive your copy of that when it comes out. Anyway, back to the video. So I want to talk a little bit about what is the cost of staying in your familiar zone or your comfort zone. Because I want to be really honest with you here, because we all know that staying in the familiar doesn't simply just keep you safe, it keeps you small and it keeps you from operating in your full potential in life, because it's going to cost you things like opportunities that you talk yourself out of, the income that you're never going to stabilize to, the relationships that you outgrow but you stay loyal to, versions of yourself that just are never going to get lived, and like I said, your full potential. And that can be really dangerous, because you're going to start to normalize it and you're going to start for that to become your familiar zone, and you're going to call it patience, you're going to call it waiting for timing, you're going to call it in my healing era, my healing zone, you're going to call it I'm just being realistic. But you know that deep down there's more to life, and you have way more potential, my loves, and you are tired of circling around it instead of just going for it and living it. I know you are, because that's where I was, and I know that you can relate to me. And I want to say also that the women who change their lives, they're not braver or different than you, they're not more confident, they're not more healed, they're not more ready. They have simply done this one thing that we talk about. They've taught their nervous system that expansion is safe in their body. They've stopped asking the questions like, how do I feel ready to move forward? And they just started asking, what is the identity that I need to become familiar with? And this is where the real change is going to happen. Like I say, not through force, not through fixing or healing, but through you actually self-elevating. And this is why I've created the self-elevation experience. And it's not to fix you, not to heal you, not to go back and dissect your past, but to absolutely recode your identity at the very nervous system level, so that your next level of expansion doesn't feel like a threat within your body. And this is for the woman who knows that she's outgrown the mindset hacks, the endless healing loops, talking about change instead of actually just living it. And she is ready to become familiar with more power, visibility, wealth, self-trust, life, love. You can find the link to the self-elevation experience down below, and I will see you in the next video.